That's what
I know if y'all had proof of me robbing somebody, we wouldn't even be talking. Y'all would have cuffed me. I would be charged with it.
What type of work do you do? What type of artist? You're an artist.
Clayton County Police Department, y'all doing all right today?
Yeah.
All right, you got your ID on you, sir?
I'm famous too, so
okay,
I know my rights.
You said you're famous. Who are you?
I'm Offset Migos.
As many rappers are linked to street crimes, most of them get sentenced to prison. There is a couple that outsmarted police to get out of their crimes, such as Dababy, who was arrested in January of 2020. As he was scheduled to perform at a nightclub, things didn't work out when the promoter paid him $20,000 instead of the $30,000 that they agreed on. The next day, Dababy allegedly jumped him in the streets, and his crew jumped in. They stole his iPhone 7, a credit card, and $80 in cash. Dababy and his boys then sped off from the scene and went on to tour Miami for a few hours before returning to the hotel. Once he stepped foot into the lobby, police awaited his arrival, then arrested him on the scene and was taking him in for questioning.
What's going to happen was you need right now we have some that have made allegations towards you.
What allegations? I can help y'all out right now. I can make y'all a whole lot easier.
They're robbery investigations.
Robbery. I got $300,000 right now. All blue hundreds. I'm not robbing nobody. I'm the number one artist in the country. Come on, bro. Stop it. Stop it. Ain't no when I ain't robbing nobody. Y'all can cut that out. I need to go to my room.
You want to call your lawyer?
Nah, I don't even gotta call the lawyer. Y'all get sued, y'all put me in handcuffs by the robbery. That's what's gonna happen.
But detectives were not prepared for Dababy in the interrogation room, as he knew exactly what to do and was smarter than the police officers.
What's your full name? We just want to get it from you. This is just a formality. Just tell name, your date of birth, and all that stuff.
Rather than asking for a lawyer, Dababy knew that he could clear himself of involvement because while asking for a lawyer does not make you guilty, it could make you look more suspicious.
Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. Do you understand that? An incident occurred at the hotel.
What incident?
An incident. You had an altercation with somebody?
No.
Did you have a business dealing with somebody?
No.
You didn't?
No.
So somebody didn't bring you $20,000?
No.
They did?
No.
Did you count $20,000 in your
No, I did.
Okay,
Yeah.
you did. Around what time was this, sir?
Whatever time the camera showed me not robbing nobody.
As Dababy would mention that he had nothing to do with the $20,000, instead, his manager spoke with the promoter and ended up rejecting the offer after discovering the money was stolen. With no witnesses in the area and only blurry footage of the robbery, Dababy would stick to his story during the interrogation.
Common sense. You know what I made to even be down here? A promoter booked me at the hotel. I didn't pay to be at the hotel. It was paid for.
Was there an argument?
No, it was an argument. I didn't argue with a soul.
Dababy repeats having $250,000 in his hotel room, asking the detectives on why he would ever need to rob someone.
You'd have let me in my room, you would have saw close to $250 million cash, legally, hard-earned money. I don't got to take nothing from nobody, bro.
Well, let me ask you this.
I will go outside here right now and throw $10,000 in the air. Like, I do not care about no money.
The detectives would then get desperate to poke holes into his story, so they asked him on where he was before returning to the hotel.
Where were you coming from at that point?
Prime, seafood. I went to eat. I went to get some food.
Where's that?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No.
How'd you get there?
In the car.
What kind of car? Was it a car you drove? Somebody else drove?
An Uber, bro.
An Uber?
Yeah.
What kind of car was it?
An Uber.
Small car, SUV, truck, what?
I don't know. Let's talk about what matters.
Let's take the word robbery out of the picture.
So while we here, we taking the word robbery out of the picture.
While Dababy didn't answer what car he was in, he directed the conversation back to the robbery. Clearly controlling the interrogation at this point, Dababy had full control, and then he even shut down any possibility of him even being involved.
Bro, y'all know too many lies. You get what I'm saying? That's why y'all gotta move backwards like that, bro. Like,
you're saying that they're lies, but you don't know what we have going on.
Okay.
That's
I know if y'all had proof of me robbing somebody, we wouldn't even be talking. Y'all would have cuffed me. I would be charged with it. That's what I know, bro. That's what I know.
Detectives are losing this interrogation as Dababy is just smarter than them. They then left the room. Dababy had a nap on the table, knowing that he won. However, an officer then returned and placed him behind bars since he was still the main suspect. This gave detectives time to search for more evidence against Dababy. However, they only had the blurry footage. A couple months later, the case would then be dismissed. Dababy has a history with the law. However, he knew how to escape this situation, as he would even explain it during an interview with DJ Akademiks.
I do want you to give some type of knowledge on that, because I've watched it. I'm like,
yeah,
like the police probably are licking their chops like, yo, we got this, even though you be spinning it.
So it's simple, like why would I pay for a lawyer in a situation when I can speak for myself? You know, ain't knowledgeable enough for like the laws to be able to say that I can say and then just walk out. Like, it's simple. Like, I know how to go for real. Like,
next up would be Julio Foolio. As in April of 2022, officers saw Julio driving a Dodge Durango with illegal window tints. They would pull over Julio to ask him some questions. When suddenly a prosecutor shows up, things would then get very odd. The prosecutor searched Julio's vehicle illegally and then told officers who he was. Julio was then taken into the police officer's patrol car, and then he was questioned about the passing of ATK Mitch.
Alright, so I ain't want to bring it up. I know you're gonna be upset. Mitch, there's some texts I want to talk to you real quick about what happened to Mitch.
How long is it gonna take?
Not that long, depends on you. They just gonna ask what you know about what happened.
Once he was taken into the car, Julio knew he would be questioned and was quickly then taken in to be interrogated by the police.
All right, the reason why I'm here, I am lead on your friend's case.
Ooh.
You didn't have a friend that recently got killed?
A lot of friends that,
Recently? Mitch?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm lead on that. I don't know how close you guys were. Can you kind of give me just run down on y'all relationship when y'all met? How long y'all been partners or whatever?
The detective started looking at who Foolio was to Mitch and how they even knew each other, while also asking where Foolio was at the time of Mitch's passing.
We used to come to my mama's house. I used to stay on the corner. He used to come over there, show his, support.
What type of work do you do? What type
I'm an artist.
You're an artist? Yeah. Okay. As far as Mitch go, what are you hearing?
Nah, really, I was in Miami when I heard the news, you know what I'm saying? I was down making music. And I saw posting on Instagram, Mitch, everybody, the whole Jacksonville, Mitch.
The detectives knew that they had nothing on Julio Foolio, but they did know that Mitch and him were ops. They knew that he was involved with Mitch, and they even tried fishing for any information they can get from him. However, Julio Foolio continues telling detectives he didn't know a thing.
You guys, if you may know or hear something, that'd be helpful as well. Because if you know his mom, you can sit up there and call his mom. Then I'm pretty sure you would want her to have some answers as well.
My little brother, I don't know who did. I don't know. I ain't here. That's what I'm saying. You will never know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. No, I just heard it. They say, little brother. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? I'm in Miami at the time though.
You ain't tired of that, man?
Yeah, but I'm known to this.
While Julio Foolio shuts down any involvement in Mitch's passing, they ask if Julio's music is why so much crime is around him, because the detectives are getting frustrated that Julio is staying quiet.
Do you think that your music or your ways or the way you conduct yourself through your music had anything to do with him?
Nah, because even before I was rapping, it was, you get what I'm saying? Like, you can't just say it's my music, that's why somebody, you get what I'm saying?
Okay, do you think it influenced someone or triggered someone, like the way y'all going back and forth with it? Do you feel that way?
Nah, a song can't make no do nothing, bro.
With the detectives failing to get anything, they would just leave the room like they did with Dababy. Other officers then came in asking him about the original traffic stop that he was pulled over for. They claimed that he was alluding to police, but this attempt on Julio would fail. He stayed quiet. He didn't want to give up any information that they could use against him. With the detectives now out of the room, Julio Foolio began singing Dark Cloud by Rod Wave.
Been so many dark days, been so many dark days.
He'd then go on to respond to the video of him singing Rod Wave on Instagram, saying, and I quote, "I can never go out bad. I see a lot of rappers getting out bad. telling, "I don't know nothing. I am not 6'9", alongside a bunch of rat emojis. After it all, they then tried getting Julio Foolio on charges of tampering with evidence, fleeing, and eluding cops. By the end of it, Julio pleaded no contest to tampering charges in exchange for 6 months of probation. Even with Julio Foolio getting some probation, it saved himself from being behind bars. He would have spent multiple years inside a jail if he spoke too much to detectives. But Julio Foolio, being smart, saved himself a lot of trouble. With Julio Foolio getting off with a lesser punishment, Offset would get completely let off of his court case, as on July 23rd, 2018, officers were tailing Offset through the streets. Once he would stop for gas, they stopped him to question him. The cop then asks for his ID. Offset tells the officer that he's famous, as if that would help him in the situation.
Can you turn the car off for me?
Why?
So I can hear better, so you can hear me. Clayton County Police Department, y'all doing all right today?
Yep.
All right, you got your ID on you, sir?
Yeah, but why I'm being pulled over?
Well, you can't get your ID first, sir.
I'm famous too, so
Okay,
I know
fine.
my rights.
You said you're famous. Who are you?
I'm Offset, Migos.
Who's that?
Migos, Offset.
Okay.
Offset would be difficult about the situation, insisting that he needed to call his lawyer to ask if he should hand over his ID. Once his lawyer said to, Offset then complained about how many officers pulled up on him and that he was worried for his life. They'd explained that his window tint was too dark, but in Offset's defense, he claimed that he only purchased the car 2 days prior and he has not made any modifications. But the officers then asked him if there was any firearms in the car. He would say no.
I pulled you over for your window tint. So can I get your ID, please?
Okay.
All right. So how long you had the car?
2 days.
2 days? Well, it's a nice car. I do like the leather interior and the red. Yeah, I like that red. I do. Look, we asked everybody, any firearms in the car? We asked everybody. Just for our safety and your safety. All right, none? Okay, appreciate it.
But they would take Offset and his bodyguard out of his vehicle and then found that his bodyguard was carrying one on him. Once searching the car, they would then find another under Offset's seat. Offset would then be quickly arrested at the scene, taken into the station, and then being charged with possessing of a firearm while being a convicted felon. Luckily for Offset, the feds would order that his charges be dropped. It turns out that Offset was part of a bigger investigation that the feds were doing. If they continued his case, it would alert other parties that they were after them. They decided it was best to just let Offset free this one time. While Offset was set free after lying to cops, Kodak would not be so lucky. Kodak has had a long list of run-ins with the law. His most recent would come on July 16th, 2022. Officers noticed that he also had a legal window tint and he was pulled over for it. However, once officers arrived at Kodak's window, they would notice a smell of narcotics. This then prompted a vehicle search, and Kodak was not happy.
Smell vehicle, right? Do you ever heard? I ain't got a problem. This dude just gave me. I don't got no my sister, but he just gave me a gas station.
As a result, the officers found a bag of narcotics in the back seat, and then they placed them into the back of their cruiser. Once Kodak's mother heard that he was pulled over, she would be seen arriving at the scene, begging the officers to let her son free. The officers obviously could not do that, but they would let his mom talk to him in the back of the patrol car.
Baby, how you make mommy crying? Why you do that? You know better. Why you do that?
Kodak would then end up receiving charges related to narcotics and possession. However, just 5 days after his arrest, Kodak was placed under house arrest rather than having to sit behind bars.